Guys, welcome back to the 12th episode of the Two Brits, One Yank channel. Now today, I'm joined by a very, very special guest. He's in fact my boy from this high. First, I'll introduce you to the other Brit.
So Wanjau-Smith.
The Yank.
Conor Kelly.
As you can see with the guest today, his name's Ira. Ira, do you want to just give us like a little sort of like background about you? Or
Ira
for the
Jackson
viewers that don't
Jr.
know.
Well, I'm Ira Jackson Jr, former professional footballer. Now I don't know if I'm a footballer anymore.
Hey, he can still kick ball.
He's still a baller.
We'll see. But I'm also the lead progress coach at Pro Caliber, and I do lots of other stuff like mentoring and writing books and stuff as well. So,
Awesome. Right, well, before we get into his story and stuff, as you can see behind Sol and Ira, shout out Ellis Roden. He's actually sorted us out with this unbelievable flag. Like, it's come
what
up.
a legend, man.
He said to me, because I was on live earlier, and he said, "Have you seen the flag yet?" And I was like, "No, I haven't. I did not think it'd be that cool."
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, proper.
And he went out his own way, out his own pocket. So, Ellis, you are...
Goated.
You are goated, man.
Can't thank you enough.
Yeah, honestly,
Proper
what a
legend.
legend.
That is someone that will follow the pod even when we're not on Maidstone. That's for sure.
Ellis has got our back.
He's on every
Love
single
it, love
live. Every live on TikTok as well.
Yeah, and
Always there.
that's part of the reason we started this podcast was to develop relationships like that. I know you were already quite close with Ellis, but it's been so cool to kind of meet more and more people. And yeah, again, can't thank him enough.
But we were just saying as well, like it's growing. Like the fan base is growing as well, which is so sick. Like look, I think I said it like maybe like episode 3 or 4. Like obviously at the start, you're expecting like your friends, your family to follow the pod, but now like you're seeing randomers following it. It's like, wow, we're actually doing something here. This is like
You're doing a good job,
this
guys.
is
You're
doing
doing a
well.
good job.
Even like somebody said on the YouTube comments the other day about them following from Rochester, New York.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I saw that. I actually saw it this morning.
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, even she was saying yesterday to us, he has a friend that plays university in Pennsylvania, and like the whole house watches it. On like a Sunday, they'll get some food and flick it on. So yeah, it's been awesome to see like how it's reached so many different people, and yeah, hopefully it continues to grow. But having the time of our lives doing this, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is in fact the last episode at the Conor Kelly studios.
Yeah,
Conor actually leaves tomorrow back to the States.
Yeah, Conor Kelly Studio is getting packed up at the moment. There's nothing else in here.
Anyway, right, let's get into it. Right, Ira. So basically, before every pod with a guest, we always start with the same question. I think I might have a rough idea, obviously growing up with you, but what was your first footballing memory?
I'd say starting at Brazilian soccer when I was 4.5. Walking past Christchurch.
I was going to say stand up.
Yeah, stand up. Yeah, walking past there and seeing them kicking footballs around and doing their own drills, and each individual person has their own ball, and I was kind of like, I want that. Like, I want to have my own ball, and I want to be dribbling around and doing skills. And yeah, so that's definitely my first one.
Is that still going, Brazilian soccer?
It's kind of Brazilian soccer as a whole is, but not the one in Ashford. It's kind of changed to technique soccer, which
really?
Katie Flack does now.
What's that similar to? Like, just so the boys get a rough idea.
It's like futsal.
Yeah. But did you just use
Little
like
hard
it was just
balls.
like
The little
skills,
hard
wasn't
balls,
it?
Yeah. And then we did play games, like we'd go and play like indoor futsal games and stuff against like BSS Stourbridge or BSS somewhere else. Yeah.
Did you play for a team before Gillingham?
Yeah. So I went when I was younger. Brazilian soccer created like its own little local team called Club Brasilia. It was just
That's a cool
we actually did. We played
sick.
yellow, blue, and white, or sometimes it'd be yellow, blue, and blue. It was sick. And then from there, I went to Derby County on a trial, and that was like put in the newspapers and stuff, which was quite cool. So I was under like 7s at the time, and went there, scored 4 and 4 on my first 4 games playing right wing. And then I missed the games that I missed were like against the best clubs, so like Man United, Stoke, like Liverpool, but I played against like Warsaw and other teams like that as well, which was really good. And they offered to sign me, but even though my family live in the Midlands, my parents were like, nah, it's too far, like 3 hours. I was leaving school at like 2 o'clock every Tuesday and Thursday to get to training. So they were like, just come back down south and then we'll try and find you something here. And that's when Mark Patterson recommended me to go to Gillingham. Then I had to go on trial there as well. Smashed 6 goals in. Damn. And they were like, yeah, I think we might have to sign him.
You got no choice.
Yeah.
So at under 7s, you almost had to move 3 hours away from home for football.
Yeah. So
mental.
because Derby County, like, I guess spotted me. I got recommended to go to Derby County. I was like, quote unquote, exceptional for my age. And this was before all the YouTube and all the social media and stuff. And so I went there and I just found it cool. I was like, yeah, I'm going to play football. I know I'm good. But I didn't know if I was that good. I was just like, I know I can do skills, so I'll just do skills and score goals. Yeah. They were kind of like my two things, beating people and scoring goals, and they kind of still are. But yeah, it was a great lesson, because when you go and play against older players as well, I trained against an under-10s kid, and I tried to do the same skill against him twice. And the kids in the Midlands are a little different. Like, they'll eat you alive. Like,
really?
I remember I did the skill once, and I started smiling as I went past him, and then I went and put a cross in. And second time I did it, I tried to do exactly the same skill again. He sends me 6 foot up in the air. I dropped down, like, boom, straight on the ground, start rolling. I couldn't stop rolling. And then, like, I firmed it.
That's that Brazilian.
Yeah.
You love that.
Proper. Like, Neymar holding the knee, everything. And then, like, my dad, he says from his side of the story, like, I'm shocked you didn't start crying. Because it was bad. Like, the tackle was disgusting. Like, for the Midlands, that was safe. But for the South, like, South England, like, no, that's like reckless.
Yeah.
I get in the car and we're driving home. From the minute I closed the door of the car to the minute we arrived at my house, I cried for the whole 3 hours. I was in so much pain. But I had to firm it in front of everyone. Yeah. Because it was so bad. Like, I'd never been tackled like that in my life. So when it happened to me, like, this is a kid who's older than me, but he actually had ill intent. Like, he wanted to hurt me.
It's funny that you're stuck with you as well.
Yeah, like, I remember getting in the car, and my dad was like, you know, well done, son, you did well tonight. He's like, how do you feel? And I went, started crying. It was so jokes. Like, looking back at it now, it's like, I'll never do that again. Like,
really?
If I go and play in the Midlands again, I'm never doing the same skill twice. Like, it's stuck with me.
Tell me about your Gillingham days. How long was you there for? From what ages?
So from 7, like latter half of 7, up until 14.
Up until 14.
And so 7 till 12, they didn't play me as a winger. They played me as a striker, because on trial I scored loads of goals. And I was smashing in goals every season. And I remember when I was like 11, I met Chris Dixon, who's now like one of my football mentors. Still close to him quite close to him now. Yeah, I remember Dartford. He's at Chatham now. He's actually in the playoff final today.
Oh wow.
Well, the day that we're filming. And yeah, I met him, and he's playing a game for, I think he's playing for Charlton or something, against Dover, and he then moves to Gillingham. And so we set out a competition, like, I'm going to score more goals than you. I was just a little arrogant kid, like, I'm going to score more than everyone. And I was like, I'm going to score more goals than you this season. He was like, no, I'm going to score more than you. Like, he was just going along with it. He didn't actually, like, believe what I was saying. But in the end, I ended up scoring 38 goals that season. Wow. And I smashed it. And then I got moved to centre mid.
No way.
New gaffer comes in, and apparently, this is one story that they said. They said that the person who had the most technique in the team had to play in centre midfield. And I was like, nah, I don't really believe that, because I'm not a centre midfielder. I have no defensive instincts at all. Like, I only do if I feel like I'm going to get embarrassed, and I'm like, I'm going to have to take him out. Do you get what I mean? But other than that, I'm not, like, I've obviously learned over time, but I'm not defensively inclined at all.
Right, okay.
Like, I like beating people and scoring goals. So I'm now put in centre midfield and told to play 2-touch. And even when we did 2-touching drills, I didn't want to do it, because I'm like, why can't I dribble?
And that must be so frustrating as a kid, thinking your best attributes have been taken away from you.
Literally, and he actually said to me, he was like, you'll never make it as a striker.
Really?
He literally said that to me. So when I ended up going pro, as a number 9, like, they played me as a number 9, even though I didn't want to play there, like, it just came back to me like, oh, he actually said I'd never do this.
Yeah, well, there we go.
But yeah, it was, those 2 years were like the most frustrating years ever.
Was that towards the end of your Gillingham days? Yeah. So do you feel like that was the reason why 100%.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Because the reason why they ended up releasing me was because they said I didn't have enough impact on games.
Right.
And I'm thinking, like, over the last 5 years, I've scored like 100 and something goals.
Yeah.
And then you put me in centre midfield. In my first season, I scored 17 because I'm just thinking about go and get the ball, go and shoot from everywhere. Second season, he's like, nah, you're going to play holding midfield. I want you to play 2-touch, and I don't really want you going past the halfway line. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
And so in the end, like, they released me, and their reason for releasing me is that I'm not doing enough in games. And it's like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not Paul Scholes, and I never will be. Like, do you get what I mean?
Do you feel like you were so good technically, that's why they tried to maybe move you there, or?
I mean, it's a good excuse, but to me, I'm thinking to myself, like, if you want to win, like, and you want me to develop, don't put me in a position that's not going to help me.
But that's what I mean. It makes no sense. It's not like you wasn't scoring goals.
Like,
exactly.
even put me on the wing or something.
Yeah.
If you want me to get faster or like fitter or whatever, put me out wide because I've got to run more. When I'm up front, I'll just jog around, innit?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you took in maybe the positives of trying a new position? Like, do you think that helped you in the long term, or was it just something that you never went center mid again and it's kind of a waste of time?
No, I like the position central midfield. I don't like the way I played it when I was younger. I think it was the wrong time.
Okay.
I didn't have an appreciation for any other position on the pitch. I didn't appreciate centre midfielders apart from if they were giving me the ball.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate all the running they were doing because I was like, you play there because you can run and tackle, not because you're good at football.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? No, but realistically, because that's
Damn, shots fired. Bro.
Facts.
that's the way.
Shots fired.
Damn, bro.
As a kid, they only put the tallest and the strongest players in midfield. So I'm short. I'm strong in a sense because if I've got the ball, I'm strong, but not like shoving people and winning headers and that. So I'm thinking, I don't know why I'm here because I'm nothing like any of these lot.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't really have an appreciation for them unless they gave me the ball. And if they didn't, I'd just go and grab it and do my own thing.
Really?
And so when I played in centre midfield, like at the start, I was like, you know what? Let me give these guys the service I wish I had. But then afterwards, I was like, I don't want to pass to you lot because you're just...
I'm not going to score.
you're not going to score, like, because that's my job. Do you get what I mean? So I ended up just doing the whole passing sideways thing.
Right.
And it's boring. And then I ended up getting dropped to the bench and stuff. And I was just like, okay, is what it is. But I still had in my head, like, I'm better than everyone here, so I should be staying.
Do you have that mentality when you was younger? Yeah.
I was. Do you get what I mean? And I was putting in work. So it's not like I wasn't putting in work and I thought I was better than everyone else.
Yeah.
I genuinely was better. I think the only area where I think centre midfield helped me was getting fitter.
Right.
Because when I was younger, I was just quick.
Yeah.
I wasn't fit like to last 90 and do like box to box runs. Like if on a turn of a key I could go.
Yeah.
But other than that, I weren't doing box to box runs. I wasn't doing no recovery runs. It was just like sprinting. And so definitely playing centre midfield, it was boring because you're just running at one pace, like just there and back. But it taught me something different for when I got released. It was like, nah, you need to make sure you're an absolute beast when it comes to fitness.
So did that change your mentality did like something click when you was released?
Yeah, I realised I wasn't as good as I thought I was.
Right.
And not necessarily to them, but I thought I was, because as I was younger and I'm scoring all these goals, I'm getting loads of clubs come in for me.
Yeah.
My parents are only saying no because of convenience.
Yes.
So I felt like I was doing Gillingham a favour by being there. Like,
Right, okay.
And almost you're untouchable.
yeah, like I've turned down Portsmouth, I've turned down West Ham, I've turned down all these teams to stay with you lot.
Yeah.
Like almost like they owed me a scholarship.
Do you wish you would, like, if you could go back and change something, would you change it, or was it just like you're glad it's happened because it?
I needed that to happen because I think there's the passion and the desire that I had for football leveled up even more, and even more so after I took a 2-year break from playing, because I was like, I'm not playing for anyone because I don't want to.
So after you were released, you didn't play,
I played for school.
and that was it.
Did you
that
play
was
for
it.
Kent as well?
I played for Kent right at the end of that 2 years because I ended up coming back to played for Ben Smith at Herne Bay for the last 10 games of that season when I was 16, and then I played for Kent for like the last 10 games of that season as well.
Really?
But from 14, 15 and half of 16, I didn't play.
Wow.
I just played for school.
That
Yeah.
is crazy.
And my dad would have me out every day running.
But what? Yeah, I remember because I used to join you. But why was that? Why didn't you want to just get back into it?
I was hurt by football.
Right.
So I'm kind of like, well, what's the point? Like, why am I playing? I said to my dad, I don't want to play for anyone. Like, I just want to play for school and I want to play for fun. Because bear in mind, from 7 years old or from 4, I'm doing a technical program. So I'm not really playing games. As soon as I hit 7, I go to Derby. As soon as I leave Derby, I go to Gillingham. So there's no such thing as having fun playing football.
Of course, yeah.
So
makes complete
even
sense.
after being 25, 26, and people are like, you know, don't put too much pressure on yourself. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I've never played football for fun. So trying to start at 26 is crazy. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I had to say to them, like, look, I said to my dad, I don't want to play. I want to play football. I just don't want to play for a team.
Really?
Yeah, so I just spent 2
I
years.
do, because I remember training with you in
Yeah,
stand-up. We used to do some mad sessions.
You'd be
bro.
growing and increasing at your clubs and
Yeah.
that, and I'm just sitting here like playing for my school team.
Actually, I remember that now. You playing for Nottingham because we played Nottingham. Actually, I
Yeah.
remember you being there. But I completely forgot that you'd taken a couple of years out.
Yeah.
You just played for schools.
So you're 16. You played 10 games into the season for Herne Bay and a little bit for Kent. Where do you go from there? Do you go straight into men's football?
Partly. So I went to trial at Faversham's first team with Ray Turner and Clive Walker. Remember them like it was yesterday. And they're like, oh, this kid's got a bit about him. Like, he's decent. Because I was kind of like, I'm probably not going to get an academy deal now. Like, so I may as well just like play men's football. So I went there. My dad took me there and ended up playing like 23s and coming off the bench of the first team. Then went to Ashford. But in the midst of all of that, I ended up going on trial at like loads of pro clubs because I was trying to like get a scholarship, like 16 to 18s, under 18 scholarship. So went on trial at Man United, went on trial at Man City, went on trial at West Ham at that time as well. Like did little bits of like Palace and Watford as well. And the hope was, one of them, I'm going to get my big break and I'm going to, you know, give 2 fingers to the coaches that released me at Gillingham. But even in that, like, I think my best trial was United. My worst trial was City. Like, when I went to Man City, I thought I was going to be training with the under-16s. So I'm going in there thinking, like, I think I can match these lot. I think I'll be good. Why do I go there? And I'm training with the 21s and the 18s. I'm like, so as soon as I get in there, I'm seeing, like, people walk past me that I've seen, like, 44 rating on FIFA, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Damn. Like, I got so nervous. Like, you know,
bit imposter syndrome.
Yeah, like Reece Wabara from Mania d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
So he's there, and I'm thinking to myself, like, Devontae Cole's there as well, Martin Samuelson, who was at Peterborough, West Ham.
He was, West Ham. I remember
I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, I thought I was really good, and now I'm playing with these lot. Because bear in mind, it's not like I've just had a storming season and scored like 60 goals at under 16s level. Like, I've played 10 games in the last, like, 3 months.
It's crazy you haven't even played for 2 years.
Yeah.
Training in Man City.
Well, what kind of pushed you to go back into football like that? Did you just have realization?
We did some tough sessions.
We did some tough sessions.
He was sick of
Ira Jackson Jr. had us running.
I told my dad that I wanted to be a professional footballer, and I said, regardless of whether I take 2 years off, 10 years off, I'm still going to make it. And so he went out of his way to make sure that every club in the Football League knew that there was a talent out there that they had never seen. And so he contacted loads of clubs, and he was just like, give him a shot. And like loads turned him down, but in the end, Man United were like, well, fair play, why not? And then City said the same. And then like Watford, I had to go through like the you know, like the pre-academy stuff. So I had to go through that with Watford and Palace. But yeah, even West Ham was through an agent that wanted to get my cousin as a client.
Right.
He was like, oh, you know, he said to my dad, like, I really want your nephew. My dad was like, well, I've got a son. You know, I mean, he doesn't play in the champ, but yeah, take him, have a look at him. And he was like, all right, let's see what West Ham are saying, because he was mates with like the recruitment guy. Went to West Ham, smashed it up. And I'm expecting to sign. Like, the coach is saying to me, like, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll get you signed up. And in the same time that's happening, my dad's in another room with the chief scout and the recruitment guy saying, oh, you know, we don't think he's tactically as good as our under 18s and under 21s. And my dad's like, well, that's the reason why he's going to come here. You'll sort that out. Do you get what I mean? And they were like, oh, you know, no, but you know what we can do? He was like, if you let us, you know, we've got a few clubs that we can send him to. My dad's like, that sounds a bit off. Like, because they were like, oh yeah, you know, we can send him straight to Blackburn and he'll get signed. Like, we can send him to Peterborough and he'll get signed. And my dad's like, that doesn't sound quite right. We ended up finding out that the same guy that was the chief scout who was like saying no was actually getting paid by other clubs as well to actually send in players. So people that would come and trial, he would get like a little backhander. If he sent players to clubs. And so he had obviously a few relationships with clubs like in the leagues below. And if he sent me there, him and the agent that wanted my cousin would both got paid. And I would have just got signed. And I said to my dad, like, that don't sound right to me. Like, and as much as I wanted to get signed, I didn't want to get signed that way. Because when that all explodes, even if I'm doing well, people are going to be like, oh, he only got signed because somebody paid.
You always have that tag in that label.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the end, people will just be like, oh, you bought your career. And it's like, no, I don't want that. Like, I'll work for it, even if it takes me an extra few years. So yeah, like non-league, all the trials, like both happening at the same time. And I ended up going to Ashford and playing for Ashford. I say playing, I'd come off the bench for like 2 minutes every game.
Wow, what a funny story about that. You remember when you got bombed out the squad?
Yeah.
I saw you in town centre.
Yeah.
Can you remember?
Yeah.
I think I was getting like a haircut or something, and you were there waiting for the bus, and the bus come late or something, didn't it?
Yes.
And you remember when we turned up, and the guy was like, "No, you turned up late. You're not in the squad."
Yes. Oh my
Remember
gosh, that was
I remember
so
that.
jokes.
And your dad came and he was fuming. He
Yeah.
took us home. That was brilliant. What was that like at Ashford then? Like not playing as much as you you wanted to.
It was weird because again, like I still have this thing in my head that I'm better than these players that are on the pitch. I didn't equate experience. I didn't equate strength or speed or anything or games played. I was just like in training because when I had my first session for Ashford, the manager was like, "Yeah, I'm signing him straight away." So I ripped them all up. But it's different doing it in training than doing it in a game.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that. Like as I got older, I became like a training player. Like I'd be unreal in training, and then in games I
just couldn't replicate in games.
because it's like you don't play with the same freedom in a game as you do in training.
Right.
Like in training, I'm not wearing shin pads. Like I'm just chilled. Like I'm vibing, as if
No pressure.
Yeah, there's no pressure, and I can do what I want, and I can make 100 mistakes, and no one cares. Of course, the gaffer's gonna be like, "Oh, you should have done this or should have done that," but then when I cut in and drop it in the stanch, like he's like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
But in a game, you don't get that many opportunities, and the manager's trying to actually win something. So a 16-year-old, he's not going to be looking at him and going, "Yeah, go and play with freedom." He's like, "I'm only going to give you 2 minutes because I can't trust you." Do you get what I mean? And for every young player, I always recommend like gain the manager's trust. Like once the manager can trust you, you will have freedom, but you have to earn that. And so sometimes you got to play the way he wants you to play until you get to play the way you want to play.
That's a good point.
And I didn't learn that, not very quickly at all. So yeah, 16, 17, working my way through non-league, I still hadn't understood that. Like, I'm like, why don't they just let me play my way? Yeah. But my way wasn't as polished yet or as effective. So it's just like, yeah, I'll have 6 really good games. And then I haven't figured out that everybody else has figured me out and I don't have any other answers. So it's like, I'm trying to do exactly the same thing again and the defender's stopping it. And I'm like, okay, why are you stopping this? But that's his job.
Yeah.
Like, he's seen me cut in and boot it in the top bin for 6 games.
Yeah.
Game 7, he's like, I'm not letting you do that. Do you get what I mean? And so I hadn't equated that just because I play well, if the team lose, the manager's still going to drop me. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, we didn't win.
And you're young as well.
I'm the kid,
It's
exactly.
easy.
So it's very hard because I'm expecting my ability and my work rate to be enough. But sometimes being trusted by a manager outweighs all of that. And I didn't understand it. So yeah, it was tough as a non-league
It does
player.
make but it does make complete sense there. Gaining the manager's trust and stuff, then he knows what he's going to get from you each game.
Exactly.
So
It's that reliability, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
And that also speaks to kind of going the route of playing men's football before, academy. I feel like gaining the manager's trust is such an important thing in men's football. Versus academy, it might just be, they want to put out the most technical players because they're really only trying to get a few guys to the first team. It's not so much about winning. Versus when it's about winning games, you're forced to develop as a professional much more.
Yeah, you have to. And I think that's one of the things that you will learn, or you learn as you go through non-league. It's like you can be as good as you want to be or as good as you think you are, but you're never as good as you think you are if the manager don't play you. And so I talk to young players all the time and they're like, yeah, I want to go 2-3 levels higher. And it's like, what have you actually done? Like, you haven't shown any consistency. You've had 3 flash-in-the-pan games where you scored 2 in each game and they were against the worst team in the league and now you're showing that as your highlight reel.
Yeah.
But you don't know what you're not good at. But the manager knows, you don't, and you think you're going to go 2 levels higher and smack it. You're not. It's false. And I had that idea that, I've scored 7 in 7, that means I can go, but I didn't score for the next 21 games. But do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
of course.
Every start of the season, most players start off well because it's adrenaline, isn't it? You just come out of
I
pre-season.
always say
you
that.
can't wait to play a real game.
Yeah.
So you're giving it everything and then you blow up.
Once they know what your wears off,
Exactly.
you've got to try, because the best players, they're consistent with it.
No, of course.
Exactly.
And it starts getting tough maybe 13, 14, 15 games in. That's where you have to sort of still back it up and turn up each game. That's where like the average players will then fade away, innit?
Exactly.
So, all right, so when did you sort of you said there about obviously playing for a few clubs non-league, when did you feel like you had like your breakthrough?
While I'm doing a 12-minute run, like I run past my phone and my phone buzzing, And I'm like, oh my gosh, did I do something wrong at home? Is my dad calling me? Because I just see the phone like blaring loud, and I was like, all right, I stopped my stopwatch and I ran over to the phone, and I was like, I didn't recognize the number. So I was like, all right, let me just drop this person a text and say, sorry, I missed your call, I don't know this number. Carried on doing my thing, and then when I got back to the phone, it's like, oh, it's Neil Cugley, are you free for a chat? And I was like, why is Neil Cugley messaging me? Like, although I knew why.
I was gonna say I could only think of one reason, probably.
No, but it's kind of like the backstory of it is my dad told Neil Cugley when I was 16, you should sign this kid because for your type of club, he's perfect. But Cugs is very loyal, so he's like, I've got my players, I've got this, I've got that, and if I don't want you, I'm not signing you, kind of thing. So that's why I was kind of like, why is he calling me? Because I don't I don't know why he'd be interested in me.
Yeah.
I'm playing the league below. I'm not playing for a club at the moment, so what was he calling me for? And Folkestone are like one of the best clubs in the Ryman Prem. Do you get what I mean? Especially at that time. So it's like, and their goal scorers score goals, like loads of goals. So it's like, I don't know why he's talking to me. So yeah, he calls me and he's like, what's happening, son? Like, and I'm like, look, I just want to sign for the right club. I'm not interested in playing for 54 more clubs in my time as a footballer. Yeah. So I need somewhere where I can be stable. Look, I don't care if I don't start every game. I just want to be given the chance to just be myself and play. And he was like, look, are you free tomorrow? I'm going to take you out for a coffee. Let's have a chat. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I did some research on them overnight. I played against them a few times anyway. And I actually played against them for Sittingbourne that season. But I was like, let me do some research. Because I was like, if they've got players that keep getting churned over, I'm not going to that club. Because then I'm going to be another one of them. But when I started seeing like Matt Newman had been there for like 7 years. Callum Davis had been there for 5 years. Blanksy had been there for like 7 years. Draycott, same time. Ronnie Dolan, 5-6 years. Sam Hassler, a few years. I was like, okay, they seem to have a stable side. Like, and they only bring in like a couple players a year, max. But they keep the same like kind of 11.
That is so important in football as well. Stability. It gives you.
That hurts. Yeah. A big turnover this week.
Yeah, facts. But
sad times.
It does. It allows people to feel the comfort to try new things. And,
Come on.
And actually, not even try new things. Try things that you know you're capable of. That maybe you wouldn't be encouraged to do in an environment where if it doesn't work out, you're straight to the bench, or you could be out the club.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said for stability versus chaos when it comes to football teams. Like we've spoken about clubs that have like turnovers of 50, 60 players in a year. Like a player like me can't go into a club like that because it just won't make sense, especially at that age. Like now I probably could, but at that age, I'm thinking like I've already had that. So I need somewhere now that I can call my home. And I'm actually from Folkestone, so it makes sense. Like I moved to Ashford from Folkestone. So there's chaos, which is all of the stuff I had before. Then I go to Folkestone where there's so many players who have been there for like 5-6 years. And it's like, they know how good they are. They know what they can bring to the team. The manager knows what they can bring to the team. The manager knows he can trust them. And it's kind of like they're just missing a bit of sauce. And it's like, oh, I can bring sauce, kind of thing. And so when I speak to him, he's kind of like, look, we've seen you played against us, you played really well. He was like, where do you want to play? And I was like, to be honest, I don't want to play number 9. I want to play right wing. And I want to just cut inside, I want to smash it top bins, I want to beat people, and I want to have fun. And he was like, well, look, we do need some more firepower. I can't promise you it'll start, can't promise that it will even come on. But what I can promise you is that when you do get your chance, if you take it, you will be immovable from the team. And I said, well, that sounds good to me because I'm not asking somebody. I've had clubs promise me that I'm gonna play every game. And it's like, at 17, you're not playing every game.
No chance.
Unless that team's like a relegation scrapping team. Like if your team's anywhere from like 16th out of 20 upwards, you're not playing every week as a 17-year-old. Unless you've got a manager that trusts young people and plays them regularly. But most of these managers, they were trying to make a name for themselves. So you're not going to do that by playing young players. Like you're going to die on that hill. So when he said it, and he'd been in management ever since I was born at Folkestone, it was kind of like, okay, I can trust this guy. And so when I signed for them for less than I was on at Sittingbourne. But I was like, you know what?
It's opportunity though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I was like, look, I said to him, look, he was like, I know what you're on at Sittingbourne. We can't match that. We can give you less, but it is a better platform. And I was like, look, I back myself and you sound like a trustworthy person. So I'm gonna go for it. And funnily enough, like the first few games, I played like 5 minutes. And then we go to Dorking, where we got smashed 6-0. And before the game, he goes to me, do you want to go on loan? Because he was like, I know I can't promise you minutes right now because the team is established. And the team were doing well apart from that Dorking game. That Dorking were a freak team back then.
Yeah.
Like, they had Ryan Pryor or something?
No, Jason Pryor.
Jason Pryor was on a grand a week in Ryan Pryor at that time.
Wow.
Like, crazy money. They basically bought that league, like, literally, and then bought the league above as well. So at that time, he was kind of like, look, you ain't really played much. Do you want to go and get some games somewhere? And I said, nah, you know what? I can wait it out a little bit. And funnily enough, 2 games after that, Adi Youssef gets sent off. And I have to play. I have to come off the bench and play up front by myself. He was just like, just run around. Like, But that now, he's like, there's not really much you can do. We're down to 10 men. I think we were winning 1-0 or something like that. And I think we ended up drawing 1-1. And he was like, there's no real pressure. Just go out there, show me what you can do, kind of thing. That's what he used to say to me. And then he was like, but next game, you're going to be starting. And I had to start up front. But I was like, you know what? It's an opportunity. So played against Carl Shorten, scored on my debut, got an assist, but we lost 4-2. But then the next game was my home debut. We played against Lewis, and I scored a 30-minute hat-trick with my left foot.
Wow.
And from then, the gaffer was like, as soon as Adi came back in the team, I got moved to right wing. The other guy that was playing right wing got put to left wing, and the left winger got put to the bench. And from then on, it was just kind of like, even though I didn't score every game, it became like me and Adi that were the 2 like points of call to score goals and like, give him the ball. And he would literally just say to me like, just go out there and do what you do. Like, and I've never felt so free in my life. Like, I was playing and I was just beating people, scoring goals, or beating people, creating chances. And it was like it's the best experience I think I've had in non-league football.
Really?
And then we end that season and Dover come back in for me and like, yeah, we want to sign you. And I said to my dad, like, I don't really want to go because I don't feel like I've finished what I need to do at Folkestone. Like, I've played for like 15 games. Like, I said to him, that's not enough for me to warrant that I deserve to be playing first team level at Dover. Because after all I've been through, the lack of playing or here and there minutes, like, I want to settle here and I want to go here until I end up going pro. My dad was like, nah, you're going Dover. So in the end, I went and trialled. I had to go on trial at Dover. Even though they wanted to sign me, I had to go on trial there. Do well, smash the fitness, all that sort of stuff. And then Hesse's like, you've done really well, son. Like, you've done really, really well. But I just don't think you'll play. And I was like...
Wasted time.
Well, thanks for that. And Cugs would text me like every other day and he'd be like, look, you know where you should be. And I was like, I know, but I have to be here. My dad told me I have to be here. And so in the end, I go back to Folkestone and I have to be on the bench because he sorted out his first 11 now without me.
Of course.
So I'm on the bench, first 4 games. I played 90 minutes in the whole 4 games, scored 4 goals. And he's like, all right, you deserve your start now, kind of thing.
He's made you kind of wait it out.
Yeah.
Punished you for that little trial.
I think I'll just get a little bit.
Yeah. Proper.
Try to show his power.
Yeah. But to be
Now
fair,
help me out.
Yeah, but to be fair, I respected him for that because he didn't value me above the team. And certain managers, they're like, oh, he's my favourite. Like, it doesn't matter whether he turns up to pre-season or not, he's going to be starting on the first game of the season. And when you do that, you lose the respect to the whole change room. But when they saw that and they were like, this guy, like, he scored 3 and 3, he's still not starting. Like, they're now trying to encourage me, like, no, you'll get your chance. And they're like, Cugs, are you going to start him or what? And then I said to them, look, no, I'll wait my chance. Like, I was the one that went away while you lot were doing pre-season. I didn't even train with them. I think I trained once before the season started with the team. So I was like, look, I respect it. And then when I actually came into the 11, I ended up scoring like 3 and 4. And then I went on a 7-game goal drought. And it was so jokes because I'm getting stressed. Like, I'm the top goal scorer in the team, but I'm stressed. I'm like, I haven't scored in 7 games. And he rings me on, I think it was a Sunday before the Tuesday game against Cheshunt. And he goes, all right, son. That's how he calls everyone. He's like, all right, son. And I'm like, all right, Cugs. And I'm like, sounding like, oh, he's going to drop me, isn't he? And he goes, just wanted to let you know, I'm not going to drop you. Just take the pressure off yourself. You'll be fine. And I was like, are you sure? And he was like, I didn't sign you to score goals. I signed you because you always look like you're going to score. And to the other team, that's threatening. And he was like, just go out and do that. And I was like, all right, cheers, Cugs. see you on Tuesday. Put the phone down. I'm like, oh, okay. So he's not going to drop me. Because every game I don't score, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like scoring got me into this team. If I don't score, I'm going to get dropped. So I'm like carrying that pressure into every game. And then the Cheshunt game comes on a Tuesday and my teammates are like, oh, he ain't scoring today. Like they're taking a piss. Like Ronnie Dolan especially, he was like, I bet you won't score today. And he was goading me because he knows what I'm like. He's like, nah. I said to him, no, I'm going to score today. Like I had that like fire in my eyes. And I watched the Gareth Bale highlight before the game. Like that's the way
Hyping him up.
Proper, like I was ready. I saw Gareth Bale do a cut in and he like drilled it with his laces, top bins and fell over. And funnily enough, that's exactly how I scored my goal.
Really?
I didn't mean to slip over, but I didn't plant my foot properly. And as I struck it, it just goes straight into the top corner. And after that, I was like, all right, I'm back.
Yeah.
And then I went on a like 12 in 13 goal run. And then COVID obviously comes in March, but I'd scored 26 goals by then. From right wing, it's not too bad. And that's
I'll take that.
Yeah, like
You take that.
Yeah, through the 9.
But it was fun because that season, it was almost like I was so like laser focused on staying at focus until I get a pro move. I had clubs coming in for me left, right, and centre, and I wasn't on contract. So when I told Cugs I didn't want to go on contract, he was kind of like, yeah, but you're going to do well this year and you're going to leave. And I'm not going to get any money for you. And I said, no, look, unless the club's in the pro leagues, unless they're in the EFL, I'm not going. So he would have clubs come into him and he'd be like, all right, Ira. Like he'd bring me out of the session. During the middle of the session, he'd be like, Ira, look, I've had Ebbsfleet come in for you. Are you interested? And I'd be like, no. And he's like, but they're in the National League. They're full time. He's like, I said, no. He said...
That's very brave as well.
He was like, so do you want me to go back to him and say that you said no? Yeah.
Really?
But I think that speaks to like kind of your sense of self-belief and we've definitely been able to feel it like on the pod and everything. But to just turn down guaranteed money, because again, non-contract, if something goes wrong, say you break your metatarsal,
Literally.
you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
And you knew what you wanted, you stuck to what you wanted, and eventually, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I think it comes.
Yeah, and I think...
It may come.
Yeah, it was good because he showed me his word when I signed. And I said to him, like, look, as much as I can rely on your word is as much as you can rely on mine.
Did that ever make you doubt yourself then? Like, oh, you know what? It is a 3-step jump to the football league. Should I go somewhere in between, keep smashing goals? Or were you just so set that it would come?
No, I knew it would come. And I kind of knew because the clubs that were coming in for me were the league below.
Okay, yeah.
So I was kind of like, all right, if these are coming in for me during the season, watch what happens when I smash the rest of the season. Who's going to be coming in for me? And you can often judge it. Like I often say to players, like, if a club from the league below comes in for you and they're offering you a contract, the league above will offer you a trial. So like it's kind of like that. And so I was kind of like, okay, if I can at least like get a trial, or if I can have somebody in the football league look at me, like I know I've got all these other clubs that will want to sign me anyway. So I was kind of like, if I can just do well enough that a football league club will come in for me, then I've shown something. I've kind of proven that I can get pro. And so as the season progresses, we get to March, and obviously that was the last game was the first game where you couldn't like shake hands. And we played against Enfield, we drew 1-1, and we were like on course to win the league pretty much, or come second at least, and go in the playoffs. And COVID shuts everything down. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, like, what's going to happen now?
And what, you weren't getting furlough money because...
No, weren't getting furlough money. I wasn't getting any money.
Yeah.
And so I'm just sitting there in COVID, and I pulled my hammy in November, but I carried on playing. So I was like, okay, let me just recover, because I don't know when we're going to be back. At least let me make sure I'm good to go.
So you're banging all those goals in with a bad hamstring as well.
You'll see in some of the videos, I'm wearing K-tape on my hammy. After each game, I couldn't walk.
Really?
So I'd done a grade 3, but I was just like, you know what? I was using, DP, ibuprofen gel, taking all the drugs that I could, not literal drugs, but, you know, paracetamol, ibuprofen, K-tape. I was wearing one of them, like, bandages up to, like, halfway.
Jesus.
I was doing everything to make sure that I completed this task. And then when COVID came, I was kind of like, yes, I get to rest. But that was kind of the worst thing as well, because it took me like 2.5 months for me to be able to run without pain. And obviously pre-season comes quite quickly after that. So when I actually start like training again for the new season, it's late. Like it's like 2 or 3 weeks before I go to Grimsby. Like, that's when I actually start pre-season. But yeah, ended up getting the move and had loads of clubs interested in the off-season. I was meant to be going to Solihull because Solihull were doing well that year. And I was like, oh, they might go up. Had the guy call me, do like the stadium tour on the phone, because obviously I couldn't go there. Do like the training ground tour. This is where this is going to be. We're about to put a 3G there and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, oh, love it. Like, because it was in the Midlands, that's the only place I probably would have gone because it was Midlands.
You got
If it
family
was
up
outside
there,
the football league, I was like, oh, my family's there. That would be big for the family. So that I was interested in going there. And so they offered me a deal and I was kind of like, nah, this is what I want. And so one of my ex-teammates became like my pseudo agent. And he was like, nah, he wants this. And they were like, all right, I'll take it to the chairman, because they were very interested in signing me. Chairman comes back and is like, who does this guy think he is that he can ask for that sort of money? And he goes, why don't you come in on trial in 2 weeks' time and prove it? And I was like, I don't need to prove it. I've just proven it. And so that little bit of like arrogance is what made me wait it out even more. And so I ended up waiting it out, and the Grimsby chairman like had contact with my dad for some reason. I think it was because of scouting or something, because he wanted to see players in Kent, or not in Kent, but like in London area. And he randomly goes, oh, how's your son? And my dad's like, yeah, he's all right. He's had a good season, etc., etc. He's like, send me his footage. So my dad sends, I've obviously created, cut up and everything, my highlight reel, sent it to my dad. My dad sent it to the Grimsby chairman. 2 days later, he gets an email back saying, oh, he's a good player. Like, Ian Holloway's going to give you a call. So my dad, that next day, gets a phone call, like directly from Ian Holloway, not through the chairman, like directly from Ian Holloway. And he puts it on mute and he goes, aye, guess who's on the phone? So I come downstairs and I'm hearing this voice and I'm like, I've heard this voice before somewhere. Who is this? And he's like, mouth. He's like, I'm like, oh my days, Ian Holloway's on the phone. And I was like, wait, what club is Ian Holloway at? And then I was like, oh wait, he's at Grimsby. And I was like, okay, that's lit. They're in the league. And he's talking on the phone and he's like, you know, I don't think I've ever seen a player like him. Like, I know, I've coached some of the best. And he's like, he starts talking about Wilfred Zaha and all this sort of stuff. And he's like, I think I can make him the next Wilfred Zaha. And I was like,
yeah, I was signed right then. Yeah. I was signed over the phone.
I said to my dad,
I'd walk up the Grimsby.
Literally, I said to my dad, whatever they're offering, take it. Like, take it now. And he was like, are you sure you don't want to wait for any other offers? I was like, no, just take it. They ended up sending over a contract the week later. They were like, the gaffer loves him, so he's going to sign him. Like, the chairman's like, we'll take him. So they send the contract over, and my dad's like, you know, should I renegotiate? I said, no, don't ask for no more. Don't ask for anything else. just take it. I'm like, where do I sign? And so like Ian Holloway then speaks to my dad again and is like, look, bring him down the week before, like the week of pre-season, sorry. He can come train, we'll give him the training kit and all that sort of stuff. And we just want to make sure that we're obviously making the right decision before we do the official contract. But he said, don't worry, I've already made up my mind, so that's never going to change. But he was like, for the club and for the other players, I'm just going to make sure that I bring him in, see if he's fit, etc., etc. And then, yeah, we'll go and do the deal. So he's got a fitness test. I can't even remember what it's called now, but it's like 20 meters back, 40 back, 60 back, 80 back, 100 back, 80 back, 60 back, 40 back, 20 back. And you got to do that in 3.5 minutes. Like he said, if you do this in 3.5 minutes, you'll get signed. He's like, anybody who doesn't do it in 3.5 minutes is not getting signed. So one of my boys who's currently playing in a playoff final right now for Telford, Montel Gibson, he doesn't do it in the time, but he still gets signed because he's like, I love him. I'm gonna sign him. And then another guy called Bilal Moshni, who used to play for Southend, like massive guy. He does it in like 4 minutes and 15 or something. Like he wasn't fit at all. Like he was old, didn't look like he could run. But again, he loved him. So he was like, I'm going to sign him. I end up doing mine in 3 minutes 17. And like I see the players looking over like, who is this guy? Like, what position did he play in? So when I walk over, because we're obviously separated, like new signings and the players who are already signed, I walk over and they're like, you right, lad? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good, thank you. They're like, oh, who are you? Like, you know, where have you come from? What position do you play? And I was like, oh, you know, Ira, I've come from Kent. And they're like, Kent? where's that? And I was like, it's just below London. They were like, all right, so it's London then. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come from London.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's just the hour.
Yeah, literally. They were like, look fit, lad. And even though physically I wasn't in the right shape because I was eating too much Jamaican food in that off-season, I was still fit because I was running. Like I was doing like 1 kilometer time trials every day. Like boom, 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 bang them out, training, everything.
I remember seeing pictures. You got so lean at Grimsby.
Proper. I got skinny.
I think you posted something on Insta, like a before and after.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like,
how much did you lose?
15 kilograms.
I knew. I was going to say 12.
Yeah, that story about losing the weight is actually funny. Because I'm doing some extras with one of my teammates, Duncan Idahan. And he's
at Bristol City?
Yeah, Bristol City, yeah. He's gone on loan to, I think he went on loan to Yeovil mid-season, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And Bath at one point, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's a good player, very good player. So we're doing like extras after training, and I'm helping him with some stuff. And the gaffer walks over to me, and I think this is probably the most ruthless I've ever heard him. He's like, "You're not a coach. Why are you coaching him?" I'm like, "I'm just helping him out." He's like, "Come here." He's like, "Go into the gym and go and get a 13 kilogram weight." I'm like, "Okay, that's really weird." So I walked in there and I'm like, where am I going to find a 13? He's very specific. It weren't like a 10 kilo. He has 13 kilograms. So I've gone in there and there's a bar in there that's 13 kilograms. So I brought it out. What's that? Here you go, gaffer. And he's like, was that heavy? I was like, not really. It's like, that's how much you need to lose before you play for me. I said, what? He was like, if you don't lose that weight, you won't play for me. And I'm like, I don't know how did we get here from Wilfried Zaha to you won't play for me until you lose this weight. And he was like, you're carrying a bit extra. And I said, understandable, I get it, but it's not affecting my performance. Like, I could get it if I was coming last in fitness. You know, I didn't look good on the pitch, couldn't move, etc. But I said, I'm smashing all your fitness tests, so I don't understand like why I would need to do this. And I was like, look, I'm the gaffer, lose this, and you'll play for me. And I was like, well, I didn't come here to sit on the bench and I didn't come here to sit in the stand. So guess I've got some work to do. So he went, go and see the sports scientist and he'll have a chat with you. So I went to see him and he was like, you need to get your body fat down to like, I think it was like 10. I think mine was like 13. He was like, you need to get it down to 10. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go for 8. So I said, if you're going to set me a challenge, I'm going to smash it. And I'm going to embarrass you. And everyone's going to be like, so you thought this kid couldn't do it? Because I've been doing this like my whole career, proving people wrong. So I said, all right, gaffer, you won't hear from me again until I've lost it. So every like 2 weeks, like I'd do the like weigh-in and go to see the sports scientist. And he's like, you know, you're doing really well, And I'm like, it's not good enough yet though, is it? And in, what was it, 7 weeks, I managed to lose 15 kilograms.
In 7 weeks.
But...
And for US viewers, that's like 30 pounds.
Yeah, plus.
Nah, it's like
30,
more than that.
it's like
Well,
30,
it's 2.2. Yeah.
So it's a lot of weight I shifted. Disclaimer: I didn't do it in a healthy way, but I did it, and so I proved that I could.
How did you actually do it?
So I was training 6 times a day. So I'd wake up in the morning, and Lauren Wyndham Reed, shout out to you, became my best friend. Every morning I'd do 2 of her HIIT workouts. Then after that, I'd go to the gym, which they closed our gym at the club, so I had to go to the Oasis gym, which was in Grimsby Town Centre. So I went there, and then that was before training. Got to training, I'd do a 5K. After that, I'd then start training, do extras, go back to the gym, do another session, and then I'd come home, and I'd do another session at home, and then by 2 o'clock, my day's done.
Were you just like absolutely shattered on the pitch?
No, because I wasn't playing.
But still, even at training, like, that's absurd.
I'm used to waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning and going for runs.
Yeah.
So
Installed in him.
my dad instilled in me a mechanism where if somebody sets you a target and you can't beat it, you failed. So it's like, okay, cool.
It's a great mindset to have.
15 kilograms. I was like, it wasn't a thought of, how am I going to do that? It was like, how quickly can I do this?
Has your dad installing that into you, has it ever led to you feeling like unsatisfied though?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's the greatest blessing and greatest curse of football for me is that I could never ever celebrate a victory because I'm like, okay, what's next? Like, it is what it is. I've done it. Okay, what's next? So even when I signed the pro deal, it was like, now I need to go to the Prem. And I hadn't even played a game. So I'm watching games and I'm like, I'm better than him, I'm better than him, I'm better than him, I should be starting. So it wasn't good enough for me to just get a pro contract. It was like, now I need to prove that I'm worth this contract. So I need to be starting very quickly. I need to be scoring very quickly. And I need to become the top goal scorer in the league very quickly so that I can get a move in January. I've signed a 2-year contract with a 1-year extension. And I'm thinking about going in January to the Prem. Like that was my mentality. It was like, no, we need to get the next target now. Because you're already late to getting pro by being 23. Like, you need to get to the Prem as quick as possible.
So what happened finally when you got your big break?
Did you score on your debut?
Yeah. Well, funny thing is I come back and we had a player called Harry Clifton who was the fittest player I've ever seen in my entire life. And I said to him, my target is to beat you in everything. I wanted to beat him in absolutely every run. So it got to a point where we're either neck and neck, he's beating me or I'm beating him. And I was just like, I'm going at you. Like every run, I'm like, no, I want to be in his group. Because he's setting the pace for everybody. And so I come back around, I think it's October. Yeah, because by mid-September, I'd lost the weight. So I go on the bench against Leicester, come off the bench against Leicester, and then I do like fairly well. When I played number 9, it was kind of like, ugh, because I didn't really want to play there. And I'm now playing there in the league. So you can get away with it when you're playing step 3, playing number 9. But you're now playing against like players who are on the bench for the first team, you know, in the Johnson's Paint Trophy. I'm like, yeah, I'm not quite sure playing number 9 for me at this level. So I was like, I want to play on the wing. We ended up changing formation. We went from 4-4-2 to 4-3-3. I ended up going right wing. And I played against this left back and I tore him to shreds. And I was like, okay, I've arrived. Like, I'm here. Like, I can do this. And I'm thinking as well, because he's a Prem 23, I'm thinking like, Leicester, all right, come look at me then, because I'm doing this to your fullback. Then after that, the gaffer doesn't play me for like a couple of weeks. I'm like, gaffer, what's going on? He's like, you didn't score in the Leicester game. I'm like, no one did. We got beat. But I played well. He was like, yeah, but you didn't score. And I was like, okay, so is this the new target? Like every time I play, I've got to score.
Yeah, we're just back now from a quick break. Kelly Studios is falling apart by the minute. My mic was just about to tilt over and smack me in the face, and at the moment, that's the last thing I need. So yeah, we're gonna try holding the mic like this. I hope there's no audio issues or anything. But yeah, so sorry before we were so rudely interrupted, Ira.
No worries. Yeah, so around that sort of time, the game started to change. The goalpost started to move a bit, and so I've done what he asked me to do. I've lost the weight I needed to lose, and then still, he's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to play you because now there's another reason." And so I'm still doing well for the reserves. I'm still scoring goals, but yeah, there just seemed to be this issue of him not wanting to play me. And I had teammates like Luke Waterfall. I had teammates like Matt Green, like James McEwen, who would be like, you know, don't worry, you got this, you know, keep working. I don't understand what he's doing, but, you know, keep the faith, etc. Or maybe go on loan. And I was kind of like, nah, I don't want to go on loan. Which to this day, I'm kind of like, maybe I should have done. Not maybe, I should have done. But then if I did go on loan, I wouldn't have had the debut that I had. And so it's kind of like catch-22.
Yeah.
And so it gets to December, I think it's December 12th. And the gaffer puts out the team. And I lost it because I saw 2 under-18s who never trained with us before in the squad ahead of me. And as soon as the thing went out, I called him. I said, Gaffer, have I done something to you? Like, because this doesn't make any sense. And he was just like, you know, I'm the gaffer. I make the decisions. And I said, look, I respect you like completely, but you've lied to me. Like, when I signed, you were giving me this whole speech about Wilfried Zaha and all that sort of stuff, and you know you're going to give me an opportunity, etc., etc. You want to take me to the Prem and maximise my potential. And I'm like, you ain't even giving me a chance. Like, you ain't even let me play. And now I'm seeing 2 18-year-olds that are in the squad, and I'm not. And I said to him, like, you pride yourself on being a man of your word. And I said, this is not integrity. Like, you haven't shown me that you're a man of integrity. That's not. The man that I've watched on TV is not the man that I'm experiencing now. And he hangs up the phone.
So do you regret that?
What?
Like speaking to... Yeah, there's one thing, like there's some things in football that I wouldn't say. I might have an opinion on someone, but I know if they're hierarchy, I wouldn't say it.
No, I don't.
Does that make sense? You don't regret it?
Not at all.
Really?
When you see the end of the story, you'll find out why.
Yeah, well, I suppose, yeah.
So he hangs up the phone and I call the captain straight away. And I'm like, Maka, this gaffer's getting to me. I said to him, I don't know what's going on. He said, look, Ira, in my years of football, I've never seen a player treated worse than this in my life. I said to him, well, that doesn't help still because that's not going to put me in the squad.
Yeah.
And as I'm on the phone with him, he's like, look, I'll try and speak to the gaffer. I'll try and speak to the club and see what we can do. As I'm on the phone with him, the gaffer calls me back because I text him. I texted the gaffer and said, oh, your phone must have cut off. Tried to give it one of them. Can you give me a call? Can you give me a call at your earliest convenience? Like once your connection comes back. So he calls me back and he says, all right, son. And I'm like, you're right, gaffer, your phone must have cut off. He goes, no, it didn't. I cut the call.
Really? I cut the call.
Yeah, and I said, well, at least you're honest. And I said, look, gaffer, I'm not trying to disrespect you or anything. I respect you highly. But I said to him, like, you have not shown me a man that I can trust. You've not shown me integrity. And what's the worst that can happen now? What you can do, sack me. Like, that's what I said to him. That's the worst that can happen. I said, look, you haven't given me one opportunity at all. And I started to list all the things that he was doing wrong, which sounds bad.
That's very
But I said to him,
bold.
like, look,
Ballsy.
I said to him, look, there's a player in this team, yeah, whenever we lose a game, you blame him. But you don't blame the other kid who's 2 years older than him, who's been playing in League Two for the past 2 years. You don't blame him because you know you're going to make money from him. I started absolutely going in. And he's like, all right, son, you're right. And I was like, he's like, let me put the phone down one more time. So he puts the phone down and he's like, I need to go and speak to my wife. And I'm like, all right, you'd speak to your missus. But I left it there and I text the captain. I'm like, look, I don't know what's happened. I think I might have got through to him, but I don't know. He calls me back and he goes, you're in the squad tomorrow. I'm like, what? He's like, he said, what you just said to me is you've highlighted to me what's been going on. He's like, I haven't been myself since I've been at Grimsby. He was like, I've not treated you fairly. And everything you've said, completely true. I can't fault it. You've told me the truth. And he was like, I respect you for having the guts to tell me. And I'm like, well, thanks, Gaffer. You know, I'll prove you right. He was like, all right, calm down, son. He was like, you ain't even played yet. And I'm like, but when you give me that chance, I guarantee I'll show you. And so I go there the next, because this is the night before. So I'm now gone from, I'm not in the squad. I'm just going to stay up all night and probably watch movies and then go for a run in the morning and do like the little gym prep that we would have to do, like go to the gym, go to the stadium early and run and all that, to now I'm actually in the squad. So I text my parents, I'm like, I'm in the squad for tomorrow, I think. And they're like, oh, like what happened? And I'm like, look, I'll let you know, but let's just get through this weekend first. So we're playing against Mansfield. I walk into like the separate change room because we had change room for the first 11 and change room for the bench. And we're in there and they're like, oh, Ira, like everyone's like, you deserve this. Da, da, da. Hopefully you get your chance. I go and say hello to the guys in the first team change room. They're like, look, like if you get your chance, just make sure you take it. You know you deserve this, etc. So I'm sitting in there and he's had 3 meetings, well 2, and the third one he has with everyone in the change room, the second change room. And he goes, boys, just want to let you know, I apologise. He's like, I've mistreated someone in this change room and they've had the balls to tell me and now I'm going to have the balls to apologise. I've apologised to them, to themselves, but now I'm going to apologise in front of everyone. And he was like, this lad over here, you know, he's told me yesterday, he's revealed myself to me and he's saying all this stuff. And he's like, and so he's getting his chance today because he deserves it. And everyone's looking at me like, and then afterwards they're like, well played, lad, like da 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 da. And so now, instead of just being in the squad, I'm in the match day squad. So I'm on the actual bench. So now this whole game's going and I'm sitting there like, oh, I hope I get my chance. I just want to score. I'm just thinking about stats. Like, I need to get on. I need to score. And he tells me, Montel, and Philippe Murray to all warm up at the same time. So we're getting a pep talk because Philippe's like, he's proper experienced. Like he's played top level, played at Chelsea, all that sort of stuff. Played Bradford. And so he's standing there on the sideline with us, doing his stretches, doing his little jump ups and everything. He's like, look, if you two get on today, he's like, if there's one thing I can tell you, go on that pitch with arrogance. I'm like, arrogance? I've just about made it here. He's like, no, you need to go on the pitch and you need to look at these players and be like, I'm better than you, and then go and prove it. And I'm like, all right, let me take his advice because he's done something. He's played with Cristiano Ronaldo. So I'm like, you must know something about football. And when he came in to train with us, he was unbelievable. 33 years old and he's running rings around everyone. So I was like, he must know something. So I'm going to listen. So then the gaffer calls us over in like, I think it was like the 59th minute of the game. And he's like, all right, son, you're going on. And I'm like, cheers, gaffer. I'm like, proper, thanks. I'm grateful. I'm like, I'm going to get on. I'm excited. All of the emotions are coming to me at once. And I'm like, look, I'll do you proud. He's like, just get on the pitch. Because I'm talking away and he just wants to get me on. Ended up going on the pitch. I touched the ball like twice before I scored. But 3 minutes into my debut, I score. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
Who was it against?
Mansfield. This puts us 1-0 up. So I didn't plan a celebration or anything. So I'm like, what do? I'm like, just like put my arms out and I'm like, yeah. And then I do a knee slide because I'm like, it's raining, it's wet, I can do a knee slide. And then like the team grabs me, like everybody from defenders, everyone runs over. And I'm getting like, the pats on their head. People are dragging my shirt. You deserve this. If anybody deserved to score today, it was you. And I'm like, yes. And then as I'm walking back, I look over to the gaffer and he's like, son, look at me. And he takes his hat off and he bows down, like puts his hat down, bows down. And he's like, you deserve that. And then carry on the rest of the game. Our goalkeeper coach actually plays in goal in that game. And he makes a mistake and costs us like the win, but we get a draw. And then after the game, like everybody's like, this is it, like this is the turning point for you. Like start doing all the interviews and stuff. And he goes on an interview. No, I'm on an interview, sorry. And he walks past and I'm on the interview. And he's like, son, proud of you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is what I wanted. Like when he signed, this is what I came here for. And then coming on the Monday and all the stuff I'm used to doing, I'm now not allowed to do. So I can't do all my extras. They're like, you can only do 10 minutes of extras after training. I'm like, bro, just let me do my stuff. Like I'm thinking I can go and do extra running. They're like, no, we got to save you for the game tomorrow just in case the gaffer starts you. I'm like, realistically, I'm not going to start. I've just about got to the bench. Like, I'm not starting tomorrow. We get into the team meeting on the Monday afternoon after training. And he's like laying out the team, the other team, etc. And he's like, this is about Southend. And he goes to lineup. And he's like, I'm going to start you. And I'm like, huh? And everybody in the room is looking at my face and my mouth is wide, like beyond both ears. I'm like, I'm actually going to get to start. Like, he's like, you come off the bench, you told me what you were going to do and you did it. So he was like, now's your opportunity. I'm going to play, I'm going to risk it. Go take it. That was against Southend. So we do the whole pre-match, drive down on the coach. Sit down, I'm thinking, well, I don't really want to eat anything. I'm so nervous. I'm sitting there like, everyone's sitting there having their salmon and rice, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to eat. I just want some sweets or something. But obviously, because it's all professional, everyone's sitting down next to each other, doing it properly, I'm like, okay, let me just like put the salmon on my plate, and I just won't eat it. Right, and so I took like one bite out of it, and then just started talking to make it look like I was doing everything that everyone else was doing. We get to the game, play Southend, and then we go like, what was it? 2-0 down in like the first 10 minutes. And then I score again. And I just went back to the same celebration.
2-1 down.
2-1 down.
Dan James.
I'm like, yo. No, actually, was it 2-0 down? No, we conceded in the first minute. Sorry. So we conceded in the first minute. I scored to make it an equaliser. And then, we get smacked. Like, we get beat 3-1. But I'm thinking, like, we're close to Kent. Like, I've scored again. That's 2-2. And I've started now, my Twitter feed is going off. And I'm lapping it up. We got smashed, but I'm like, yes. I'm retweeting everybody's tweets. I'm commenting back to everybody. And then the captain like messages me while we're on the coach back and he's like, Ira, you need to calm down. Like the gaffer's not going to take this too well. And I was like, what do you mean? Like I just scored. And he's like, as much as you scored, we just got smashed. So he's going to think that you're thinking about yourself. And he was like, look, don't like start deleting everything because it's gonna look bad, but just stop responding to people's stuff. Because I was responding to every single fan. Every notification I got, I responded to all of them. And that's why the Grimsby fan loved me because I would like respond and I talk back to them and I was like a fan's player. And then the next morning, on the Thursday, we go back into training And the assistant manager pulls me. His name's Benji. Like, he used to do all my extras with me. He comes over to me, he's like, lad, look, just got to be honest. Like, you can't be doing that. And I'm like, I know what you mean. Mac has already told me. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. But like the next couple of games, I was starting, and then obviously we find out that the gaffer's gone. And it's like, okay, what's going on here? So I'm thinking to myself, oh no, what if this new gaffer don't like me? But Benji takes over. He plays me. And I played quite well, but because of the position that we are in the league and because there's managerial changes, he tries to put his stamp on the team. Yeah. And it just didn't work. And then I'm obviously still playing 9, so it's kind of like, it works when adrenaline's there, but when I actually have to hold the ball up and like win headers and that, that's not my game. I can run in behind all day, but if we're not playing that way and we're playing target man, set, hold people off, I'm not that type of player. I'm good at football, but I don't do that. That's not my game. And so while I was doing that or trying to learn that, I had to ask players like Matt Green and James Hansen, like, how do you do this? Because I'm not a number 9, like not a hold-up merchant anyway, but that's what they want from me. So like they used to give me like tips and it would work sometimes, but because it's not my default, it wasn't working consistently. So I'd just rely on like running in behind and stuff. Then the new gaffer comes in and like I go from starting to being on the bench to being out of the squad within like a week. And I speak to him and I'm like, look, is there anything I need to do to improve? Like, what will it take to get in the team? And he's like, nothing. Like, I just don't want to play you. Like, I don't rate you.
Really?
And I said, well, I'm the second top goal scorer and I've played 4 games. Like, now this is where I get into defensive mode because I'm like, if you want me to read out the stats, I know all the stats of everyone in the team. I know how many minutes everyone's played. I know how many minutes I've played. I know how many goals we've scored. I know how many shots each player's taken. And I'm like, I'm the most efficient player in the whole team. A striker's not scored in the last 12 games. I have. So if you're looking for anybody that's reliable, even though I'm not the most reliable, I'm more reliable than anyone else. But he was basing it off of people's past. So obviously, James Hansen had smashed goals in for Bradford. Greeny had smashed goals in, for Grimsby and for past clubs and Cardiff and all that sort of stuff. So he was like, these lot are reliable. You've come from non-league. I can't trust you. So for me, it was like, I can't win. No, I'm not going to play.
Is that sorry, what was you gonna say?
I was gonna say, and it's funny how football works. You were so annoyed with Ian Holloway, and then all credit to him. I mean, he's completely flipped the switch, and then you're devastated to see him go in what the span of 4 games.
Literally,
it's crazy.
It was weird because it was like I felt like that was my time. Like, okay, it's my time now. Like I think every player in their career has that moment where they know and everybody else knows this is their time. Like obviously Ronaldo and Messi have had that for the rest of their whole lives, but for the rest of us normal people, we might have that.
Immortals.
Like we might have that once or twice in a career where we're like, no, this is my time. It doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to be effective. And it was just weird because it's like it was like that. It was a spark. It was a vapor of time. And then after that, it's like it just all went.
Is that how the Maidstone move came about?
Yeah, so I still had a year left on my contract. I was meant to go on loan to another League 2 club in January. And the manager was like, just give me 2 weeks while I get my players in, and then you can go. 2 weeks comes, I go back to him. He's like, oh, no, still a few more players I need to get in your position. So bear in mind, this is all happening while I'm not playing. And he's telling me I need to wait so he can bring players in to replace me. And it's like, why? If you don't want me here, if you don't want me here, just send me somewhere else. And so, the transfer window ends and he's like, oh, yeah, you can go on loan now. And it's like, well, I now can't go on loan to a League 2 club because the transfer window is closed. It's only going to be National League. Stuart Maynard from Maidstone would like message me now and again and be like, what's happening with you, lad? I've had one of my assistant managers has been watching you and been saying that, you'd be a good fit for us. Would you be interested? And I'm like, I personally don't want to go on loan. I'd rather a permanent move. So if that can be arranged, then yeah, cool. And I was going on trial at like some other clubs at the same time, but I was kind of like, I just want somewhere that's I want to go back home. Like not literally home, but like I just want to be close to
down south a little bit.
Yeah, down south a little bit because it's like I've been up here and my sister had just moved to Manchester, so I was kind of like, all right. I went on trial at Crewe, and Crewe were like, we like you, but realistically, at your age, we're not going to sign you, even though we like you, because they like getting players from Preston and Liverpool, like players who've been released from higher clubs. So they were like, if you were 21, we'd consider it. But you're 24 now. It's not going to happen. So I went to Wealdstone, and funnily enough, because I'd met my missus, like my dad thought I was like going to Wealdstone to be near her, and it was like, well, not really, because we just got together. Like we've been together for almost a year. I'm not moving, and I've never like had a girlfriend that I'd be willing to move for. I never really had a girlfriend before, so it was kind of like I'm not moving football clubs for a girl. Like to me, I was like, I'll play here, I'll play well, and I'll probably go back pro, or if not, then maybe this is the start of the end of me and football, because I've achieved the goal now and it don't feel the same anymore. So go to Wealdstone, and I'm expecting to go in and play well and do well, etc. But while I was at Wealdstone, I ended up falling in love with doing community work more. So I'm there, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm actually going and coaching kids in a school. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like the kids love it. Like I love coaching and I enjoyed it. And like they made me like a club ambassador, like for like community work and stuff. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I like this sort of stuff. And training would just kind of like be a little bit of a drag. I was like, oh, okay, I have to go training now. Yeah. So I was kind of like, okay, this is weird, because I'm used to training loads. So when I then left the pro game and then came back to like semi-pro and national league, I was kind of like, I'm not really sure if I want to do this anymore. Like,
really?
I didn't really like it. Like it just didn't feel the same. And I think part of that was all the stuff that went on at Grimsby that kind of made me realise that the goal that I thought was the goal wasn't really the goal. Like, it wasn't a dream. Like it was a nightmare more like.
So like leaving Wealdstone, like how did that come about then? Similar
to Grimsby. I ended up becoming like a super sub towards the end of the season. And the gaffer was just kind of like, yeah, I don't see you starting next season with the way that we want to play, and et cetera, et cetera. So I was just like, all right, cool. I don't really want to stay either. I'm kind of done with this. I was kind of like, yeah, I just want to go back to enjoying football.
Was your first thought always going back to Folkestone then?
No.
Right.
My first thought was, can I go somewhere I'm going to play? Can I go somewhere where I'm, still going to have that bug, like every day to want to work out, want to train? And that's why I ended up training with Maidstone.
That's how we know.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we met. And so, yeah, that was my first thought. But the other thought was kind of like, I do feel like this is going to end quite soon. So it's like, do I go somewhere where I can just have one last blast? And that's obviously why I ended up going to Folkestone. Because Maidstone was good and I enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, I think I could play for this team. And I met Sol, and it was good. And I was like, us two on the wing could be peak for everyone. But he got injured, and then I left. So it was like, definitely wasn't happening. And then, I spoke to Cogs, and he basically just said to me, look, what's it going to take for us to have you back? And I said, look.
The zeros came out.
I said, look, if you could pay me $1 million. Like, no, I said to him, look, it's not really about money, but now the lifestyle that I'm trying to create, because I wanted to get married, all that sort of stuff, I'm going to need more money than what I left you for, if that makes sense. And so, he was like, look, whatever you want at Wealdstone, we'll try and see what we can do and get as close to that as possible. And then we ended up sorting out something. Went back to Folkestone, and it was a very dry spell at the start. Like, I don't think I scored in the first 10 games. Like, I went back, and you could see that I was still the similar Ira, but I'd been so untrained in the way I used to play that it was kind of like everything was really polished, but it wasn't rough enough for me to score loads of goals. Yeah, it was kind of like I was expecting everything to be perfect. Every pass had to be clean. I'd have to get down the line and
the
cross
pitches.
Balls. Yeah, the pitches were bad, and I was expecting to get past people and just whip the ball in the box, and the ball's bobbling as I'm about to cross it. And I'd kind of got a little bit more snobby to that because I'd been playing on good pitches, but I had lost the rawness, and so the rawness started to come back in spits and spurts at Grimsby and Wealdstone, but I wasn't actually allowed to just be me. And so when I came back to Folkestone, came back with a massive expectation of myself, but also other people had the expectation that, all right, Ira's here, we're going to win the league. And it was like, I had in my head, I need to score 50 goals this season. But I started the first 10 games, I couldn't hit a barn door, literally. And I think it was just, there was so much pressure that I'd put on myself that it turned into nervous energy. And then it got to a point where he had to have the same chat he had with me as he had 3 years before. And just be like, look, relax. I'm not going to sack you. I'm not going to drop you. Like, I'm not any of those gaffers that you've ever had before. You know me. Just like, be yourself. Like, stop putting pressure on yourself. And then I started to score goals and started to enjoy it again. But still, there was this thing of like, yeah, it's all right, but it's not the same. And yeah, I think I spoke about it on another podcast, like when you reach a target, you believe that's the dream, and then you realize the dream's not the dream. And so I did that, and it was kind of like, okay, so what else is there? Like, and so that's why, like, now, I stopped playing in January, and I said to the chairman, I said, look, I can't do this anymore.
Just fell out of love with it.
Yeah, like completely. Like when I'm not motivated to even train, that's when I know I should stop. And he said, like, look, you stay to the end of the season, etc. I said, look, I'll be doing this club a disservice if I keep turning up because I'm not here. Like, I turned up to a training session once, and my wife was in the car, and I said, I don't want to be here.
Really?
I'd never ever said that about football before. And for me to say that before a training session, when training was like my game, like training's where I can do what I want, I can just fly off. And I was like, I don't want to be here. It's a chore. And I said, I think this is time.
That's when you realised. Yeah.
So I called the gaffer and I said, look, how can I cut my contract? Because I signed a 2-year deal last summer. So for me to say that, like,
Fair play to you, because you could have just stayed there and picked up a wage.
and I said to the chairman, because the chairman was like, look, like, what is this about? And I was like, look, I just have to tell you, I could quite easily stay and I'll play and I'm not going to not give my all, but I'm not here. And I can't play football to enjoy it. I have to play from a place of enjoyment.
Yeah.
So like, if I'm enjoying myself, I'll be a different player. If I'm playing to try and muster up enjoyment, it feels forced. And so I said to him, like, look, I have to go. And I know this is not your plan. Like, I know you've been planning for me to, be the star boy and the poster boy, but I can't. And I have to be true to myself. I have to be true to my family. I don't want to be coming home after training, like, depressed and like it's now stinking up my marriage. So I said to him, like, look, I have to go. And he was like, just stay to the end of the month, like, fulfill your obligations, and then you're free to go. And I would go to training, and the gaffer would just be like, look, you don't have to turn up on Saturday. Like, I was like, no, you sure? And he was like, no, just because I don't want there to be questions as to like, why is Ira not playing? Because I didn't tell the team, because I was like, out of respect for the manager, I don't want to like go and tell the team, oh yeah, I'm leaving, and they start thinking that there's something wrong with him. And that's one of the reasons why I put a statement out specifically as well, to let people know that this is not because me and the gaffer have fallen out, or me and the club have fallen out. I just don't want to play anymore. And I wanted to do that to protect him and his career, because he's now becoming an established manager. I don't want there to be that taint, because people love me at Folkestone, that they're going to think if Ira ever leaves, it's got to be the manager's fault. And it's like, no, I left because I wanted to leave, not because... And I made sure as well that people knew, this is not me trying to go and sign for someone else. And I told the manager as well, like, I'll even put something in writing in a contract to say that I will not sign for another club until the summer. Yeah. Because that's how much I'm on this. And he was like, no, how can we trust it? And I was like, look, I'm telling you. Like, he was like, I don't really care. And I'm like, well, I'm just letting you know so that you know. This is not me saying, I want to leave Folkestone so I can go to Aveley or someone like that. I just don't want to be here. I don't want to be on a pitch. I don't want to be anywhere near training. I just want to coach. I want to enjoy my job, and we'll see what happens with football after that.
So now, after playing, what is Ira up to now?
So I work full-time as a youth and young adults leader at my church called the Tab London. Love my job. No better job in the world. Awesome. I thought football would be giving me the buzz that I have doing this job. And it was lit. Like last night, I was crying my eyes out because we had like 11 of our kids get baptized. And to me, that's like winning the Champions League. Yeah, really. Because it's like they're taking the step to like walk in their walk with God and take it to a new level. And so for me, that's a tick. Like I've done my job and I've done it well. And so I do that, and then on the side, I'm like setting up my business called Pro Caliber Coaching and Development, which is all about progress. So helping people to improve their performance, helping people to analyze their performance, helping people with like personal development plans, off-season programs. We're just about to do a camp in June for players between the ages of 16 and 22 who want to take their game to the next level, like teaching them like on the pitch stuff, but on the pitch stuff. So looking at how to review a season. Like when you're looking at your footage, what are you supposed to be looking for? How to plan for the next season? What sort of models should I use to set like proper goals rather than just, oh yeah, I'm going to smash it next year. Like, what does that mean? Because you don't know if you're successful until you know what your goal is supposed to be. And a lot of young players set themselves unrealistic targets. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to go 2 levels higher next year. And it's like, okay, what do you need to do to get there? And I think my responsibility in life is to help people to go from where they are to where they want to get to. Give them the strategy, give them the support, give them the coaching that they need. And the perspective, like I've got experience, to help them to go from that place of this is a dream, but this is my reality. Like, and how do I bridge that gap? Because that's what I had to do for myself, and that's what my dad would do with me as well. So that's what I want to do for others.
Brilliant. Well, I think that wraps up an unbelievable episode.
Yeah, what a good speaker.
Yeah.
we were just saying, weren't we, off camera there, and we had to adjust the angles and stuff. Like, I'm just listening to you.
The best. No offense to the boys, but the best speaker by far.
Yeah.
He's so comfortable.
Like there was I felt like I wanted to say something, but I was like, no, let me just listen to you.
Yeah.
I found that too. I would pick up the mic, say something. I'm like,
there was a point where I said to myself,
yeah.
I hope people don't think that we don't know what to say and we're just letting you talk. I genuinely thought that. I was like, but no, let me just let you talk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so impressive, and I think one thing that has been really evident in this is how true you are to your values, which I think is so impressive. Definitely a man of your word, and yeah, it's been a pleasure to hear about your whole story.
It's been good to be on here, man.
There we go.
2
well,
Brits,
guys,
1 Yank.
if we've got Grimsby fans, we've got Folkestone fans.
Hey, there's going to be some Celtic fans as well because of my name.
Celtic fans, make sure you follow. What is it? Like, subscribe, follow the Insta, TikTok, share it with your friends.
Grimsby
mom,
fans, we're
dad.
sorry about ripping on the area. Please forgive us.
There we go. But that is episode 12. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you in the next one.